Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by a former European champion, now a top Sky Sports pundit, Spencer Oliver. Spence, how you doing, mate?
Danny, very well, mate. Yourself?
I'm very good. Very excited about this card.
Same.
I can't believe they're on the same show. You got an undisputed super middleweight championship, highly anticipated rematch. We'll start there, of course. What do you make of it? Because there was talk of Eubank potentially going in another direction, maybe Conor Benn and so on. He has now taken the rematch with Liam Smith. How excited are you that he's done that and he's made that decision?
I think it's a smart business move from Eubank because of the situation with Conor Benn and his current suspension now, with WADA, globally. And yeah, he's now in the process of trying to clear his name. He's presented his documents, so let's see how that works out. But it was a gamble because if he can't clear his name, then Eubank was going to be left without a fight because Smith would have moved on. So I just think it's a smart move at this stage of his career, to reactivate that fight, that contract, because it's one of those ones that it was so conclusive last time, wasn't it? And so he's sort of like, he said it was a punch from the gods and whatnot, but I think there was a brilliant performance from Liam Smith, who probably started slight underdog going in there, and he showed that he's world class. And there was a lot of things that looked vulnerable about Eubank going into that, like his punch resistance just wasn't there. Got caught with a beautiful shot, and Smith's a great finisher. So yeah, I think this stage of his career, Eubank had no other choice but to activate that rematch clause.
With it being an immediate rematch, how much do you think Eubank's A, accepted what happened in the first fight, and B, made a competent strategy for avenging it this time?
Mate, he says that he's got his reasons for his performance last time. A lot of that could be down to the fact that he made that weight before that with the Conor Benn situation. He took his body down to 157. When you get older, the punch resistance just goes, mate. You lose the fluid in and around the brain. And when you fuck around with the body weights like that and go up and down, sometimes your body doesn't come back. Use Roy Jones as an example. When Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and beat John Ruiz, and he come back down to Tava, and the punch resistance just weren't there, and he was never really the same again. And I think that Eubanks on that last performance just showed that we know that he's durable and he's got punch resistance. We saw that against George Groves, who's a very heavy-handed super middleweight. So this could be one or two things: that making that weight down at 157. His body hadn't recovered from that and the punch resistance wasn't there, or he's at the end of his career where the punch resistance goes again. So he's took the gamble to go back into this one, and it is a huge gamble because he'll now start a huge underdog because he's got that psychological damage to overcome. Forget all the flash, brash and confidence, that was a punch from the gods and everything else. I know as an ex-fighter that when you're lying there at night, you're going over that in your head, and there's fucking demons there that are hard to get rid of. You've got to be a special sort of person to go and be able to turn that around. So, yeah, he's got a lot to overcome, Eubank, which will make him an underdog for all those reasons I just said. But it'd be interesting because I think we'll get a different fight to the first one, definitely. I think tactically Eubank's got it wrong as well, trying to emulate that Roy Jones style. He was throwing the shots but switching off. Smith is great at counter-punching very quick. That's where his main asset is. His main asset is that he can combine offense and defense, or defense and offense together. He covers and he explodes quick, and that's where Eubank was cool. So he's got. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Smith's got. He's there, but Eubanks has got a lot to play around with, stylistically, mentally. So yeah, it's a tough job for Eubank going into the rematch.
And then looking at Smith, it seems like, what can he do in this fight to improve on the last performance? Is it kind of a bit of a lose-lose for him in that if he doesn't stop him early again, he's lost from the first fight?
No, he just needs to win. I think that, there's nothing he needs to do more apart from win. It doesn't matter how he wins. As long as he wins, he continues with his career. For Eubank, if he doesn't win, it's over. It's done. Where else does he go? He'll probably maybe look at that Conor Benn situation again, but you don't know where Conor's going. We don't know what's going on with that. That ain't looking particularly good, to be fair. So, that might be a couple of years off. Eubank hasn't got that sort of time. So, yeah, it's a case of it's a must-win for Eubank. It's a huge gamble going back into it, but I couldn't see any other option, if I'm honest.
And for someone who's built so much of their self-image on durability and having the great chin that his dad had, how will getting knocked out have affected Eubank Jr. mentally?
Well, this is what I'm saying. If you go through Eubank Jr.'s career up to that fight, he's the most fucking durable fighter out there. He's a DNA of his dad. Do you know what I mean? Tough, man. Seeing him take shots, clean shots, uppercuts, crosses, hooks. clean shots and not have the effect that it did on that last fight. And that's why I say that opens my mind to go, was it that going up and down the weight with the Conor Benn? Because Dan, you saw the pictures that he posted, even though he made the weight afterwards because of what happened. He said, I'm still going to make the weight. And he looked fucking terrible. And I go, that can't be good for you, mate. And I just don't think his body readjusted the way it should have. And the punch resistance was clearly not there. But I'm hoping that hasn't had a lasting effect. We'll only find that out on the night, though. So, he's had more time now. He's been away. He's taken himself back off to training camp. He's been out in Vegas. He's stripping it back, Rocky style. It's going to be interesting to see. One thing we know with Eubank is that he's got a big ego and he will not want to go out the way that last fight went. So you can guarantee that he would have put it all, everything into making, righting the wrongs of the last fight.
And before we move on to the Chief Supporting Contest, who are you picking in this rematch and why?
Well, you have to pick Liam Smith because you can only go on last performances, and there was nothing there that showed me from Eubank's side of things that he sort of really had anything left at this sort of level. Punch resistance wasn't there. He was too lazy in his approach. Tactically, he got it all wrong. Like I say, you can only go off last performances. Liam Smith looked incredible. He looked great. So he's got to start an overwhelming favourite.
And then the Chief Support, you've got Savannah Marshall going for the undisputed super middleweight titles. Coming off that defeat to Clarissa Shields, it's a chance to get right back on the horse and enter a rematch with, some collateral behind her.
Yeah, this is a good fight for her, actually. But I like this fight, Francesca Cruz, because Cruz, they boxed as amateurs, They boxed as amateurs, yeah. So, yeah, they boxed in a London Olympic qualifier. And Marshall beat Cruz, so she's got that 1-0 psychological thing over on her. Cruz also lost to Clarissa Shields in her debut as a professional, but has gone on to do good things and win all her fights since then. So, yeah, look, Cruz wants to reverse that loss as an amateur. Marshall wants, to move on and maybe get that rematch with Clarissa Shields again. So, yeah, great, interesting fight. But these girls do know each other. And they know what's on the line. So I'm looking forward to it. Marshall's always in good fights. And, Cruz is a big character as well.
Now, just before I let you go, I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Watson last week. It went out last night on the channel. He had a lot of good things to say about you and obviously the injury you suffered, what happened to him has helped improve medical facilities and so on. Just a few words about him and his legacy, I guess.
So Michael Watson was, for me, he was my inspiration. He was my hero. He was my guidance. He was everything that I needed. When I was lying in hospital bed and I'm thinking, fuck, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I looked at Michael Watson. We had a great chat once, me and Michael, actually. I'll give you this little story. So we had a brilliant chat about, I asked Michael, I said to Michael, when I was trying to recover, I was looking at you for hope. Like, what made you, what was your inspiration? What was your, talk to me about it. He said, Muhammad Ali come to visit me. Did he told you this yet?
Yeah, it was on
there. Muhammad Ali come to visit me in the hospital. He said, I couldn't move. I was fucked. I could only look with my eyes. And Muhammad Ali done that. He said, Muhammad Ali was my hero. And that was the beginning of my journey to recovery. And I said to him, well, Michael, you're my Muhammad Ali because you was the beginning of the recovery for my journey because I looked at you and I looked at you for hope. And I think that me and Michael have always had that special bond. We fall into that exclusive club of that little heroes club of not many of us have been through what we've been through. Nearly dying in a ring. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. Michael was in a coma for, weeks and weeks. We both pulled it through. So I think we've got that special connection together. Do you know what I mean? Michael's like family to me. He really is. And he always has been because he pulled me through some dark times. I just looked at him as an inspiration. Do you know what I mean? I thought, if this guy can do it. I remember doing the last mile of the marathon with him, me and Chris Eubank, and he had his hand on my shoulder and he was going, look, Spence. And I was just looking at him going, you are fucking so inspirational. This guy was virtually dead. He was virtually brain dead. Now he's pulled himself back to walking again, talking again. Like you say, you've interviewed him. He's a charismatic, lovely guy. And he gives everybody hope, man. He gives people hope. Not just boxing people and people that have been injured in boxing, people hope around the world that you go, listen, this guy can show you if you fucking fight hard enough, you can pull yourself back to, whatever. So, yeah, it's incredible, mate. I've got nothing but praise for Michael. I thank him for my recovery because he inspired me so much.
And now you, in turn, inspire others, I'm sure.
I hope so, yeah.
Brilliant. Spencer, really appreciate it, mate.
Thanks so much, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Brilliant.
Thank you.